Hello, and thanks for joining us on Nationwide today on the network service of the NTA. I am Lisbeth Omori. A strategy and implementation plan for the conduct of the 2023 population and housing census in Nigeria has been formally presented to the public. President Muhammadu Buhari, who unveiled the strategic document, insists that knowing Nigeria's population and using the data to plan for sustainable development is a collective duty owed the nation. This was at the National Stakeholder Summit on the 2023 census. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
The document prepared in a standard project implementation format containing monitoring, evaluation and work plans as well as budget with detailed justification and expenditure outlines ways and means towards achieving the objectives of Nigeria's first fully digital population and housing census. And this summit, convened by the National Population Commission to promote a robust conversation on this vital national project, is also aimed at strengthening collaboration, cooperation and support of key stakeholders towards achieving the desired objectives.
The Commission is committed to ensuring that results of the census are acceptable to Nigerians and the quality of data to be generated meets international best standards. The 2023 population and the housing census marks a major milestone in our country. My colleagues and I are completely on board and eagerly waiting the resolution from this summit. The National Assembly will develop an action plan to work in synergy with the executive to facilitate the smooth conduct of the 2023 census project to generate credible, reliable data to national planning and sustainable development.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who described as worrisome that despite Nigeria's high-ranking position on the global demographic map, its population censuses have been conducted irregularly and at intervals longer than the UN recommended 10 years.
This irregular and long interval of census taken in Nigeria has denied the nation the huge benefit of comprehensive baseline data for evidence-based decision-making. Knowing Nigeria's population and using the data to plan for the people and future generation is a collective duty we owe this nation.
The president, who expressed the conviction that the National Population Commission has the capacity to deliver a reliable and credible census, said the government is also satisfied with the deployment of technology, which he said will enhance the quality of data and inspire confidence. The Oni of Ife, who is the co-chairman of the National Council of Traditional Rulers, described the 2023 population and housing census as a formidable legacy that will be left for Nigeria and applauded the Buhari presidency for proving to Nigerians that things can indeed work in the country.
Now, we might not feel the impact of these legacies, but in the foreseeable future in this country, all of us will still come together and realize what he has actually done for our dear country. We should give a standing ovation for our president.
The National Population and Housing Census comes up in April 2023. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And from the justice sector, the federal government has recorded successes and achieved remarkable feats in the key area of justice reform and the fight against corruption. Some of the reforms are said to have led to an improvement in justice dispensation, efficiency in the rule of law, and development of democracy in Nigeria. Attributing the achievements to the cooperation of all stakeholders in the sector, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, says the ministry is equally encouraging states to domesticate some of the reforms for uniformity in the system.
In the third quarter of 2022, and we have recorded 2,141 convictions by EFCC. And the story I am telling you is the same as it obtains to the ICPC. Not only in terms of convictions, but in terms of the recovery of the assets. Our capacity and the capacity of our institutions to detect criminalities with financial undertones has been further established by what is unfolding in the system. Around 80 billion taken out of the system through a compromised technological arrangement were identified.
The minister says efforts have also been made to ensure human rights are observed, especially in the prosecution of ongoing fight against insurgency and banditry in accordance with international standards. Talking security, another feat in the war against terrorism have been achieved as troops of the armed forces eliminated 69 terrorists and rescued 109 kidnapped victims. Director Defense Major Operations Major Jonah Bernard Onyeko announced this at a media briefing in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has more.
It's another periodic update on the harvest in the ongoing armed forces operations across the country. Top is the cheering news of the rescue of 109 kidnapped victims and elimination of 69 unrepentant terrorists.
On 8 August, based on credible intelligence also of the massing up of troops, of terrorists, loyal to a notorious terrorist leader, Alhaji Shanonu at Ukambo village, possibly for a meeting. The air component of Operation Wild Punch carried a painstaking airstrike during their meeting. In the airstrike, the terrorist leader, Alhaji Shanonu, and scores of his terrorists were eliminated. Report from locals disclosed that about 30 AK-47 rifles, 20 motorcycles were destroyed, while 18 terrorists were neutralized.
However, some clarifications on the names of the arrested criminals that attacked the Our Church in Ondo State.
Those arrested on the 1st of August, Idris Abdulmalik Omenza, alias Bin Malik, Momo Otubu Abubakar, Aliu Yusuf Itopa, and our Ishak Unimisi. Omenza was one of the coordinators of the attack. Then there is Idris Ojo, one of those ISWAP terrorists who escaped from the Kuje Correctional Center when it was attacked. He was arrested on the 7th and he was hibernating in his brother's home in Ondo State when he was arrested. So that is clarification. Ojo was not amongst the 4. He was one of the escapees from the Correctional Center and was arrested in Ondo State.
The achievements the military admitted was made possible by the cooperation from the civilian population and synergy among security agencies. From the defense headquarters in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Meanwhile, one of the most notorious terrorist kingpin who has been terrorizing Kaduna State, Alhaji Shanonu, has been killed during an airstrike by a component of Operation Wild Punch. A statement by Director Public Relations and Information, Nigeria Air Force, Air Commodore Edward Gapquet, indicates that he was reportedly killed in Ukambo village, about 131 kilometers from Kaduna. Alhaji Shanonu was said to have organized a meeting with his foot soldiers at Ukumba village, and an aircraft was dispatched on interjection mission at the location. More than 30 rifles and 20 motorbikes were destroyed, while 18 terrorists, including the kingpin, were neutralized, while others sustained various degrees of injuries. Not less than 26 kidnapped victims held by the terrorists escaped as a result of the air raid. As after the announcement of the arrest of 4 of the Owo Catholic Church attackers, 2 additional ISOP terrorists connected to the attack have been apprehended at Omilafara in Oshe local government area of Ondo State on the 9th of August 2022. In a statement, the Director of Defense Information, Major General Jimmy Akpo, says the suspects, Al-Qasim Idris and Abdul Halim Idris, were arrested through the collaborative efforts of the military and DSS personnel. Abdul Halim Idris and other ISOP commanders previously coordinated attacks on military targets in Okene local government area of Kogi State. Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun has advocated more synergy among security agencies for optimal manning of Ogun border communities to stem the tides of banditry and other trans-border crimes which negatively affect the state. He made the call while receiving the new Comptroller Nigerian Immigration Service Ogun State Command Yakubu Umar Jibrin in his office at Oke Omuson, Abeokuta, Ogun State. Yemi Dalimo reports.
Gratitude to the federal government for the establishment of another office of the Immigration Service in Shagamu to ease the collection of passports in the state. Governor Dapo Abiodun advised the new controller of immigration in the state to work harmoniously with other security agencies for effective monitoring of cross-border engagements and undocumented migrants, among other criminal activities.
What tends to happen is when this kind of crimes occur, when people cross the border, attack maybe our herders or our farmers and run back, it precipitates an internal crisis amongst us.
Responding, Ogun State Controller, Nigerian Immigration Service Yakubu Umar Jibrin, says the command will maintain professionalism while carrying out its duties in the state.
We will enforce more security on our border coast to make sure that undesirable elements do not cross. All those people that are not supposed to be there will not cross it.
Mr. Jibrin was recently redeployed to Ogun State as controller following the retirement of his predecessor, Amao Kolawole, from service. In Abeokuta, Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
And the Nigerian Correctional Service has refuted claims by a senior police officer accusing some correctional officials of extorting money before admitting remanded suspects in custody. A statement by the Service Public Relations Officer Umar Abubakar notes that the report is untrue. Umar insists that suspects are escorted from the courts to the custodial facilities by officials of the prosecuting agencies under whose watch such admissions are done. The process of admission into a custodial facility starts immediately. The suspect is presented by the official with an accompanying detention warrant from a court of competent jurisdiction, and it's therefore practically impossible to extort money from suspects before admitting them, as the report suggests. Spending 5 months away from mainstream of family members and the trauma of living in terrorist den is better imagined. 7 victims of train attack released from captivity have been reunited with their loved ones. Sulaiman Rigachogun tells us more.
For the first time after several months without seeing one another, the family of General Idris Garba, former military governor of Kano State, reunite with their family member Abubakar Idris Garba, his wife and 4 children who spent 5 months in captivity. It was an emotional encounter. Mariam Abubakar Bobo, a wife of Abubakar Idris Garba, said it was traumatizing, spending months with her 4 children under this comforting condition.
It hasn't been easy. Everyone has been sick. I came back with my daughter sick because there has not been medication. She hasn't been responding to treatment that for the medications they've given. But we thank God for mercy and grace, and we just pray that the rest of the people that we left back would be released as soon as possible.
Some relations who were there to rejoice with them cannot hold back their tears. The release of these 7 victims was facilitated by a Kaduna-based Islamic cleric, Dr. Ahmad Abubakar Gumi.
This is the time actually to engage them now, because whoever remains there is somebody who's in abject need, in fact, in more need than themselves. So we are trying to see if we can send message to them to release everybody completely. and come and sit down on the table. So if we have a very strong commitment from the government that they are going to look into it, I think this is the time to go in between and see that these people drop their weapons.
The released victims are receiving medical attention in a health facility in Kaduna. Suleiman Gachkun, NTA News.
Let's not forget, they all need our prayers. Time now to head to Lagos, where Hingino is standing by with some reports for us. Hello, Hingino.
Elizabeth. The Nigerian Army, through its Ordnance Corps headquarters, is regrouping as part of means to combat contemporary security challenges confronting the country. Olumide Guntola reports that the new Corps commander, Major General Adeyemi Alabi, is keen on professionalism.
The Nigerian Army Ordnance Corps headquarters is strategic to the provision of logistics in the actualization of the mandate of the Nigerian Army. This explains the emphasis attached to the Army formation in its activities at combating security challenges. With the change in leadership of the Ordnance Corps, the Nigerian Army is perfecting strategy to ensure that Nigerians are free from all forms of security challenges, while the country's socio-economic activities thrive unhindered.
It is time to redouble our efforts so that we will work together and collectively with other security agencies to overcome the menace of banditry, terrorism, and all other criminalities and restore peace and stability to our nation. We must maintain the standard in the Nigerian Ordnance Corps. I must maintain that standard that we have established over the years and improve on it and ensure that we are at the edge of everything that we do.
The Nigerian Army is also tapping into innovations via training to stem the tide of criminal activities threatening the peaceful coexistence of Nigerians as the 2023 general election is fast approaching by providing required logistics needed. In Lagos, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
Away from security, noticed the changes in weather patterns that have lasted for some time now. It is part of climate change, so don't panic. Although the weather appears cold and friendly, for some, it also has some negative health effects that may require extra protection and caution. This report provides us some steps to preventing not just cold this period, but staying healthy. Cold, chills, dryness, dusty, windy, and haze are some of the changing weather patterns experienced this season.
Extremely cold in the morning, then in the afternoon it's extremely hot.
In the night I feel too much cold. Yeah, I don't really feel okay. You understand? Because I don't like much cold. I like the weather.
The rains seem to have taken a break after the late June and early July downpour, which caused havoc in some coastal areas, including flood-prone communities, especially in Lagos. The current weather condition no doubt exposes many to different ailments and, if not controlled, may lead to other serious health risks.
A lot of the time, we feel that once you have the cold, your running nose, you're coughing, you're sneezing, you have this body pain and all that, we want to take antibiotics to help us. Antibiotics might not help. You need to take adequate rest. You probably take, warm water. For some people, because of the viruses that the body has been exposed to, they might then have what we call secondary bacterial infection. But that would be your doctor will know if because we always say if you have cold and cough and things, you take simple measure, it doesn't settle, see your doctor.
Prevention, they say, is better than cure. Medical experts advise anyone who still experience symptoms after observing preventive measures to seek medical attention to prevent any complication. Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Nationwide continues after this timeout with Zinret in Jos.
Nigeria Gulf Federation announces its first Nigeria Gulf Federation Summit. This summit will discuss salient topical issues that relate to the development and upliftment of Gulf in Nigeria. Chairman General IBM Haruna. Special guest of honor, Honorable Minister of Sports, Mr. Sunday Dare. Convener, Otumba Olusegun Rushewe, OON, President Nigeria Gulf Federation. Date 31st August to 2nd September 2022. Venue, Ladikwali Hall, Sheraton Hotel and Towers, Abuja. Time 10 a.m. prompt. This event is supported by Polaris Bank, Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa Independent Television, AIT, Gulf Garden, Anchor Insurance, and Royal Ceramics. Otumba Olusegun Rushewe, OON, President, Nigeria Gulf Federation, announcer.
Harmony of biodiversity destroyed, birthing climate crisis and crying faces.
Dicey situation indeed, yet we carry on like a bull in a china shop.
On environment matters, we take the bull by the horns, plumb the nooks and cranny of Nigeria.
Asking tough questions.
Examining challenges and opportunities.
Giving human face to the science, facts, faiths, and global agreements. It's a call for action. Don't miss it.
Join award-winning environmental journalist Jennifer Igwe and other NTA eco reporters for Environment Matters.
It's like once you lose hope, you lose life. Once people get lifted to a certain level, they start feeling godlike. What would you attribute this backwardness in education to in the north to date?
What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong.
The program is reflections.
Thanks for staying with us. Hopefully, we will be joining our Just Network Center in the course of the bulletin. President Muhammad Buhari sends warm greetings to Muhammadu Indimi on his conferment with an honorary degree of Doctor of Letters by the University of Maiduguri, which coincides with his 75th birthday. In a statement, the president says the conferment of degree of Doctor of Letters to the celebrant undoubtedly was in recognition of his commitment as a son of Borno and a conscientious philanthropist who has supported education as the sure path for the upliftment of his people towards a better life. The president joins his family and friends across the breadth of the nation to congratulate and wish him a happy birthday. Talking agriculture, the African Development Bank is to increase access to agricultural fertilizers to 20 million farmers in Africa, including Nigeria. President of the bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, says the program is part of the African Emergency Food Production Facility recently launched by the bank to deliver climate-adapted, certified wheat and other staple crop seeds in Africa. Justin Bemoy reports.
They have developed an emergency food crisis response facility.
Contained in a document titled Averting an African Food Crisis, the African Emergency Food Production Facility, the AFV president, disclosed that within the next 2 years, the facility will allow farmers to produce 38 million additional tons of food, a 30% increase in local production worth an estimated $12 billion. From the onset, he said, the African Development Bank realized the strategic need to tackle the devastating impact of the Russia-Ukraine war on Africa's food security, and it was important to prevent unrest and even more human suffering. And that is why in May, the bank established a $1.5 billion African Emergency Food Production Facility, where in less than 60 days, it put into action $1.13 billion worth of programs under the facility and across 24 African countries. The AFDB president says half a dozen more programs are expected to get underway by September. The African Development Bank's $1.5 billion strategy will lead to the production of 11 million tons of wheat, 18 million tons of maize, 6 million tons of rice, and 2.5 million tons of soya beans. It will also provide fertilizer to smallholder farmers across Africa using its convening influence with major fertilizer manufacturers, loan guarantees, and other financial instruments. Justin Bemuni, NTA News.
Keying into federal government's diversification policy of the Nigerian economy through non-oil exports, the Cross River State government, in collaboration with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, is sensitizing farmers to position oil palm and cassava as major export products in their states. Paul Abel reports.
Cross River State, South Nigeria, has fertile and arable land which has been involved in the export of cocoa and rubber over the years. In a bid to expand its frontiers in the international market, oil palm and cassava have been selected for export due to their comparative advantage. To realize this dream, the needs to improve production and productivity, processing, quality, and attain best international practices becomes inevitable, hence the sensitization of farmers and other stakeholders.
To recapture the lost glory of the place of cassava and oil palm in Cross River States. And that is why we brainstormed and came up with this idea.
By the time we actually surpass our local consumption, we have the excess that we can actually process for export quality.
Some farmers comment on challenges and how to achieve the goal.
We have the land, but our constraint is the issue of the land clearing and equipment.
If the state government can make land available, and that is very possible for Cross River State government.
Participants were taken through sessions on funding procedures and saturating the local market on oil palm and cassava, as well as meet the demand for export. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
And for more reports on Nationwide, let's join Mina in our inaugural network center. Nice to see you, Mina.
To Enugu Network Center. Civil society organizations of Nigeria, Enugu State Chapter, have taken to the streets in a peaceful protest to express their displeasure on the proposed inclusion of comprehensive sexuality education in primary and secondary schools in Nigeria. Chika Ugu reports that the organization took the protests to key players in the education sector.
The main trending news about sexual immorality among young people, coupled with the recent discovery that comprehensive sexuality education, called Family Life and HIV Education in Nigeria, has been introduced in different textbooks and school programs in primary and secondary schools, has become a source of worry among many. Reason the civil society organizations in Enugu State Chapter took to the streets to express their displeasure. The peaceful protest took them to the Enugu State House of Assembly, where they appealed to the legislators to lend their voices against the bill for an act to introduce preventive measures and teachings of sexual gender-based violence in school curriculums.
Comprehensive sexuality has been found to destroy the moral fabric of those countries that embraced it. It will do the same to our country.
The Speaker, Enugu State House of Assembly, assured the organizations of their support in instilling moral values in children.
I want to assure you we'll take this matter to national level. I believe that our mothers can never deceive us. Where people are, where we'll go with you.
The protesters took their message to the Enugu State Universal Basic Education Board, SBEB, and the Post-Primary School Management Board, where they highlighted 15 effects of sexuality education, some of which are promoting masturbation, homosexuality, abortion, among others. They, however, left with the assurance that sexual immorality will not be encouraged in schools in the state. The theme for the protest is Stop the Sexualization of Our Children. In Enugu, Chika Ugu, NTA News.
The Nigerian Association of Women Journalists, NAWOJ, Enugu State Council, has inaugurated its new ESCO, expected to pilot the affairs of the association in the next 3 years. Again, Chika Ugu reports that the national president of the association performed the function.
Officially inaugurating the ESCO, the national president NAWOJ, represented by the board of trustee member, urged the new executive members of NAWOJ, Enugu State Council, to always uphold justice in the discharge of the duties and make unity their watchword.
Become vibrant. We want to be the household name in this state.
They were presented with certificates of return. The newly elected chairman, who expressed willingness to take up the baton of leadership, commended her opponent Chinyere Abo for stepping down, an indication that faith will take the center stage in the association. She also noted that the ESCO will always have listening ear to complaints and advice from members.
My promise is that I will carry all NAWOJans along.
Wow! Yeah. There were words of advice and encouragement for the new ESCO and members of the association.
Let every one of us, one, swallow our pride. Bring out whatever will be talent that God has given every one of us.
The newly inaugurated ESCO are to pilot the affairs of the association for 3 years. In Enugu, Chika Ugu, NTA News.
That's a bit from here. It's now back to Elizabeth in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you so much, Mena. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadiya Umar Farouk, has been applauded for smooth humanitarian interventions and disaster management. The latest rating is coming from the Conference of Civil Society of Nigeria. Ikechukwu Undukwe reports.
Nigeria is faced with multiple humanitarian crises arising from insurgency and the global food shortage due to Russian-Ukrainian war. The Conference of Civil Society of Nigeria calls the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development best in terms of humanitarian response.
The ravaging insecurity makes humanitarian operations difficult. Supply routes in most parts are interrupted by terrorists and bandits who pose high risk to humanitarian staffs and materials. We call on the public, Nigerians, the civil society, citizens, the international community, the United Nations, bilateral and multilateral partners to support the humanitarian response in Nigeria.
The conference, leveraging on the ministry's interventions like the Government Economic Enterprise Program GEEP, conditional cash transfer, and the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, as providing relief to millions of beneficiaries across the nation.
Nigeria, like its counterparts across the world, is battling with fire outbreak. The disturbing situation is now compelling the application of digital infrastructure in preventing fire-related disasters. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that the Federal Fire Service is at the center of operationalizing this renewed drive.
Statistics of fire disaster in Nigeria is high and worrisome, with deaths and loss of property, but the will to flatten the curve is reassuring through the deployment of modern equipment to stem the tides. And as a practical step towards achieving its mandate, the federal government approved more procurement of sophisticated firefighting trucks and devices for geopolitical spread across the country.
As of today, the service has 69 state-of-art firefighting appliances, 20 basic life support ambulance, 15 water tender, 15 water tanker, we are expecting 45 additional appliances.
A repeal of the Service Act, establishment of more stations to enhance rapid response, enforcement of safety code, and strengthening commitment with the Nigerian Air Force are now the immediate priorities.
Leverage on technology to enhance our statutory mandates and efficient service delivery.
Enlightenment campaigns are being streamlined to ensure precautionary measures dwell in the minds of Nigerians to avoid any act capable of putting lives and property in jeopardy. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
You're watching Nationwide on NTA. Let's join Zinret in Jos for more reports. Hello, Zinret.
Hello, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining us in Jos. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Saruk Yahaya says he will ensure that facilities in army formations and security are improved upon in view of the evolving security situation in the country. This was while inaugurating some projects at the headquarters of 3 Division Jos. Wilkisunuhu has details.
Two projects were carried out by the General Officer commanding the 3 Division, Major General Ibrahim Ali. They are the main gate to the 3 Division and the Quarter Guard. Chief of Army Staff represented says,
the essence of this project, one, apart from adding aesthetic value, primarily is for the security of the barracks. So the General Officer commanding and his team sat down and felt it is necessary the barracks, the cantonment is secure.
The General Officer commanding the division and Commander Operation Safe Haven, Major General Ibrahim Ali, explains that the projects were executed in line with the vision of the Chief of Army Staff to upgrade facilities in army formations.
What we have done, the construction and commissioning of the gate and the Quarter Guard, is achieving some part of one of those cardinal points, which is administration. We want to improve the quality, the professionalism level of 3 Division Nigerian Army.
The representative of the Chief of Army Staff later presented a Hilux vehicle for the Regimental Sergeant Major. In Jos, Bilkisunuhu, NTA News.
Suspects have been paraded in Jos by the State Command of the Nigerian Police for various offences. Sadat Mohammed Kafa reports.
Crimes committed by these suspects include armed robbery, kidnapping, defilement, and car theft. An escapee of the recent Jos jailbreak was also arrested and paraded. Items recovered from the suspects are a Toyota Camry, locally made rifles and ammunition. Briefing journalists on the successes recorded, the State Commissioner of Police, Bartolome Oyeka, says the suspects who were arrested within Plateau and Bauchi states confessed to the crimes upon interrogation.
This is locally made and it can perform the same role as that of the English AK-47. The same pattern, the same model. So you can confidently and comfortably apply it the same way we use the conventional AK-47 we are using in the police. It has all the components. This is the cocking handle here.
The Commissioner of Police adds that his men are poised to reduce criminal activities in the state to the barest minimum and called on citizens to continue to be law-abiding and cooperate with security agencies by providing useful information for action.
The public are better informed and educated on the good intentions of the public towards them, and they need to form a strong alliance against the men of the underworld.
The suspect will soon be arraigned in court in Jos. Saadat Mohammed Kafa, NTA News.
And that's it from Jos. We'll take a break now. Nationwide continues thereafter with Elizabeth in Abuja. Do stay with us.
Why should we be in a difficult situation financially?
Once upon a time we were rich, but we're not a rich country anymore.
Disaster management is everybody's business.
In all these times, the organization turned to Nigeria.